Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. It's Friday to all of you millions of people who are out there listening to us. You're excited about your weekends, and we're excited about spending a few moments with you to talk about today, to talk about the week, to share a few little bits of insight that we've got. I'm David Rothkopf. I'm one of the hosts, and I am joined by Riley Fessler. How are you, Riley?
Pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I still think there's a beard growing in there, Riley. I know you're just sort of trying to do that halfway thing.
Listen,
I'm jealous.
the people love it.
Basically, I'm jealous because, like, I've tried a couple times to grow a beard, and what I end up with is like this Captain Ahab thing, you know.
I think you should try it again. I think that'd be fun.
Oh yeah, you think I need more white hair on my face to really drive home the message?
I want you to look like a grizzled captain.
Yeah,
at the head of the ship.
I could look like Santa Claus. And of course, Minna Stein. How are you doing, Minna?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm trying to make it through, trying to keep the head above water, trying not to let the craziness get to me. Which one of you is going to start off day with craziness?
Me.
The craziness report. And now for the craziness report, let's turn to our craziness reporter, Riley Fessler.
President Trump signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court in response to its arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over alleged war crimes in Gaza. The order aims to penalize individuals involved in investigations that threaten U.S. and allied national security, including blocking assets and restricting travel. The ICC condemned the sanctions as an attack on its judicial independence, while critics argued they undermined international justice. Trump's move follows a failed Senate bill proposing similar sanctions, with some Democrats supporting ICC reform while rejecting broader punitive measures.
Let's be honest. Democrats and Republicans alike have had just a terrible view about the ICC forever. U.S. policy has always said, oh, we don't want this ICC because what if they could come after us? Could our leaders be? That's not the plan. That's not international justice. Well, you see, that actually is international justice. One set of laws that apply to everybody, including powerful people in rich countries. Trump's action is, of course, no surprise. This is completely in keeping with what he's doing. But I think we should point out that there is a certain dark irony to having Trump attack the ICC 2 days after he proposed to the world on international television a series of war crimes against humanity that would deserve ICC prosecution. And that, of course, is his plan to do ethnic cleansing in Gaza. By the way, just proposing ethnic cleansing in Gaza is a kind of a war crime. Of course, he'd go after the ICC. And his buddy Netanyahu probably said, hey, go after the ICC. They could come after me and I won't be able to go to our ball games with you and stuff like that. So here we are, but someday we'll have a system of law in the world that actually applies to everybody. And won't that be wonderful? And will I even be around for it? Minna will be an old gray-haired old lady by the time we do that. What do you have, Minna? What kind of stories do you have for us?
The Trump administration's halt on U.S. foreign aid, particularly to famine relief programs, is severely disrupting global efforts to prevent and address food crises, including a freeze on emergency food assistance. Key organizations like USAID and FuseNet have been shut down or hindered, leaving critical food shipments in limbo and depriving aid workers of vital guidance on where to allocate resources. This has exacerbated hunger in conflict-stricken areas such as Sudan and Gaza, and may lead to a resurgence of famine as global monitoring capabilities are compromised.
That was a very well-intentioned report, Minna, and you used the kind of language that we see in reports like this. But the language, even just the language where we talk about programs and initiatives and, global efforts, sanitizes what's going on. The decision of this administration is going to lead to babies crying in the night until they grow silent and starve to death. Not just a few, millions of babies and mothers. People will starve. People will die because they don't have food aid. Diseases will spread because we don't step in to save the diseases. Other countries will step in and provide some relief, and we will lose our influence in these regions. This is a foreign policy disaster. But more importantly, it's a human disaster. There are millions and millions of people around the world who are at risk, and they're going to die. They're going to die because Elon Musk and Donald Trump decided they were going to target a small agency of the U.S. government, an agency that employed, around 10,000 people in a government that employs 4 million, because it was an agency that was investigating Elon Musk, because food aid was going to people in Gaza, because a lot of Republicans like to complain about foreign aid, even though we spend less on foreign aid than other developed countries do as a percentage of GDP, because it was easy to do. The total number of people in AID is going from 10,000, 12,000, whatever it is, to 294. There will be 12 people in USAID with responsibility for Africa. And that is just the U.S. saying, die. This is, there was a famous New York Post headline a long time ago, in which it said something like, Ford to New York, drop dead. This is America to the world, drop dead. Understand that that's what's happening here. Riley.
So to provide a little bit more context on that, the Trump administration unveiled a plan to drastically cut staffing for U.S. aid projects by reducing the U.S. Agency for International Development workforce to fewer than 300 employees out of thousands as part of their effort to dismantle the agency. The plan, which was revealed by anonymous USAID sources, follows a broader funding freeze that has halted most aid programs and placed nearly all employees on leave. While the administration claims it will continue limited foreign aid aligned with national interests, critics argue that eliminating U.S. aid without congressional approval is unlawful. A lawsuit has been filed to restore USAID's operation, citing severe consequences for both global aid recipients and U.S. interests.
Yeah, but that's all that I said, although it does also resonate with something else that's been bugging me recently, where you get the New York Times and the Washington Post going, Donald Trump is testing legal limits, and he's not. He's breaking the law. The law is the law. It's actually written down. Okay. That's sort of one of the things about the law is you have to sort of write it down. Okay. And it's written down. And what he's doing is illegal. It's damaging to the U.S. in all the ways that we've talked about. But it is illegal. And I think one of the things that is the biggest sort of advantage Trump has out there, or one of the enabling forces for what is being done, is that the media tends to mince words about this stuff. They talk about a program that will suffer setbacks instead of babies dying. They talk about testing legal limits instead of breaking the law. Are bank robbers testing legal limits when they go into a bank and, steal money? It's not an advantage to listeners or readers to water down language. It does not make coverage sound more distinguished to come up with convoluted phrasing. It is not fairer. What you should do is tell the truth in the best short words that you can summon, because that is what will help people understand what's really going on. Minna?
The Trump administration's plan to reduce the federal workforce includes offering a deferred resignation package to workers, which allows them to leave their jobs while being paid through the end of September. A court-ordered pause on the offer was issued after unions filed a lawsuit, and although the deadline for workers to decide has been extended, concerns about the package's legality and the risk for layoffs persists. Despite these concerns, around 50,000 employees have already accepted the offer, with the administration aiming to reduce the workforce by 5 to 10%. But federal unions warn that this initiative could disrupt essential services.
Yeah, of course it'll get rid of essential services. But also the way they're doing it is ridiculous. You don't just fire everybody or do wholesale buyouts if you're trying to produce efficiency. You actually figure out what's of value and you promote that, and you figure out what's wasteful and you get rid of that. And we're not doing that. And if you get rid of 10% of the federal workforce, do you think that's going to have any meaningful effect on deficits? Heck no. This is all a setup, folks. It is government is, creating the appearance of action, but also creating the predicate for tax cuts and regulatory cuts that are what the donors that put these people in power want. Yes, it also has the advantage of being cruel. Yes, it has the advantage of supporting foreign interests that are aligned with the interests of the few people who are in power at the moment. Yes, it has the advantage of attacking, in many cases, initiatives supported by Democrats. But mostly, it's political theater designed to enable future actions and make them look better. The reality is, and I said this yesterday, is that the consequences of this are going to touch millions and millions of people. And ultimately, that will be Trump's undoing. That's what happened before, but this is it happening at an even greater scale. Riley?
The U.S. Senate confirmed Russell Vought as director of the Office of Management and Budget in a 53-47 vote, despite strong Democratic opposition due to his role in shaping Project 2025, a conservative blueprint for Trump's second term. Democrats staged an all-night protest, condemning Vought as a radical nominee who would help Trump shrink the federal government, cut federal jobs, and place agencies under direct presidential control. Vought, who previously held the same role under Trump, will oversee the $6.75 trillion federal budget, with Democrats already criticizing his involvement in funding cuts, including reductions to U.S. aid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to get wound up about this. Vaught's getting approved for a job that is, under congressional oversight, and he shouldn't get it. Elon Musk is effectively doing the job. He was not approved for it. He's not actually in the government. He's got a bunch of people who shouldn't be doing this work, doing it with him. The problem is not Vought. The problem is not Project 2025. The problem is deeper and bigger and broader than all of that. What should the Democrats be doing? Is it helpful to go and postpone things for 30 days, 30 hours? Yeah, it is. And they should do it. They should do more of it. Democrats have been kind of patsies. Want to understand more of it? Yesterday, we did something new, which was we took our Thursday political podcast and Words Matter, with Norm Weinstein, and we put them together into one podcast because we thought it was better for you to get that information all in one place, not having to listen to two different podcasts. I think it went well, but the focus was this. What can Democrats do? What can actually concretely be done to impede acts that are dangerous to our interests or bad for people? So go listen to the DSR Words Matter podcast and listen to it every week because I think you'll get good stuff in there, and I enjoy talking to Norm. It's Friday, and we've been trundling through the news here, so we have a little time. Minna, are there any questions from our audience that we want to highlight?
We do have a question from our audience to highlight, and this question comes from Chantal Samponia, who asks, who is watching the money? How are the closing and pauses of these departments creating black holes to budget oversight? And how can budget pilfering be watched for, even separate from Musk's access to the Treasury, etc.?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a good question. I mean, you've got Musk gaining access to everything, and you've got his little Elon bots out there, doing their thing, and that is going to lead to a lot of programs being shut down. Will it lead to money being awarded to allies of the president and Elon? Well, you don't actually need to do what he's doing to do that. That's how the U.S. government works. Rich donors get contracts. Elon has got $15 billion in contracts with the U.S. government through his various companies. Will he get more? Sure. As Joe Cirencione, one of our friends and a regular on our various podcasts, pointed out yesterday, Trump is out there promoting, for example, something like an Iron Dome program for the United States, even though that's technically impossible. This is an anti-missile shield. It's impossible because of the size of the U.S. But that doesn't matter. He knows that. Or somebody knows that who's near him. Who's going to benefit? Well, I guess the primary beneficiary of a program like that would be the people who make the rockets. You'll never guess who those people are. You'll never guess that it's SpaceX, that it's Elon Musk, that pushing this program also benefits them. And there will be more and more of that. And it doesn't have to take the form of a Trump casino in, the new Riviera of the Mediterranean in Gaza, right? This is how the government works. So should they be doing what they're doing? No. Is there not enough oversight? There is not enough oversight. Will there be shenanigans that we need to go and get to the bottom of? Yeah, there will be. But even without all of that, we have a system where the most political power goes to the people with the most money, and therefore the people who have political roles to play tend to want to give those people what they want, so they get their support, and that's going to continue in this administration and without big changes in the next one, even if it's a enlightened democratic administration. So we've got several levels of problems in this regard, and we're not going to solve any of them now. What are you doing to prepare for the weekend, guys? I mean, do you have anything big, exciting planned?
I have a Cats viewing party tonight, which is an annual tradition with my college friends.
Wait a second. I mean, have you been attending this every year?
Yeah, this is, I think, my third. I haven't hit it every year because I wasn't in DC. They moved here before me from good old Ohio.
And so you've actually seen Cats?
I've seen it. I think this will be my fourth time, or this will be maybe my fifth time, even because we started.
Are you aware that
my junior year of
Are you aware
college.
that Cats is the worst movie ever made?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it doesn't get any easier watching it each time. I'm still surprised each time by how bad it is. It's kind of a gift to just like rediscover how awful that movie is every year.
Does that sound like a fun way to spend a Friday night to you?
Honestly, yeah. I saw it in the theater, and that was the last time that I saw it. First and last. So maybe it's due for a revisit. A Rebel Wilson performance, a James Corden performance, both worth revisiting, I think.
What about Taylor
Swift? Yeah, you forgot.
Okay, hot take. I feel like she was the only person in the movie who understood what the movie was.
Idris
Like,
Elba
she was having a great time. She was having fun. She loved being a cat.
God, he must wake up screaming in the night.
What about Ian McKellen, Judi Dench?
I was going to say, what about Dame and Judi Dench?
What are they doing?
Oh, my God. I'll tell you a story very briefly. When I was, my great aunt and great uncle were in the rare book business. And it's because my great uncle fought in the First World War, and he stayed in Paris, and he became friends with Fitzgerald and Hemingway and whatever. And they would give him manuscripts, and then he would sell the manuscripts, or they'd autograph it. And it was a whole thing. So it turned out one of their friends, because they were in this business, was T.S. Eliot. And T.S. Eliot became an especially close friend of theirs. And when I was a little kid, T.S. Eliot, and this sounds unbelievably incongruous, but at one point, T.S. Eliot came to our house in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, Now, can you imagine? Like, there's this little ranch house in like in the middle of kind of the most mundane suburb in America, and it's me and my brother and my parents and T.S. Eliot's coming over for dinner. And there's pictures of this, and then I remember him like reading or reciting or something, this thing that he wrote that he thought a little kid would be interested in, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And then, after he died a few years later, I was in New York. I'd just gotten out of college. And his wife, Valerie Elliott, who was a close family friend who we would spend Thanksgiving with, said, "Hey, there's a musical. And I'll be in town for like the premiere or the night. Will you come?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll come to the music." And I went to see Cats on like opening night, or I think it was like that, with Valerie Elliott. And it got pretty mixed. There was a mixed reception for it because it was kind of dumb. But there's a lot of good dancing in it. And so, and let's just take an independent poll. Is Andrew Lloyd Webber a great composer, Minna?
No.
No, he's a terrible composer. He's just terrible. He's the worst.
The worst.
But there was good dancing, and so the dancers would come over, and I remember they came over and I don't know, sat in Valerie's lap or whatever it was, and so forth. And so I was like pretty psyched when this movie came out, and I think I made it 15 minutes into the movie. I mean, it was just unwatchable. And Riley, I admire you greatly, but I admire you even more now that you can, sit through this complete garbage fest every year, and I hope it's ironic. I mean, are you guys?
Oh yeah, no, it's ironic.
Are you drinking? Are you eating?
Oh yeah,
food?
the amount of the amount of enjoyment you get is directly related to how much alcohol you consume on Cats Night. So,
Cats Night.
We have a good time.
7th. Everybody, it's a new holiday here at the DSR network. Cats Night. Everybody, go home.
Spread the good word.
Watch Cats tonight. It'll be our first network-wide holiday where we all take a break from the worst government in American history to watch the worst movie in American history. And maybe you could call up Domino's and get the worst pizza in America.
Does the alcohol provide insight into like the story at all?
No, but you just become so drunk that the confusion doesn't even matter anymore.
And it's just alcohol. You're not like doing cat-shaped edibles or something.
I don't know. I'm not. I can't speak for the other enjoyers, the other Jellicle cats on Cat Night.
There are probably cat-shaped edibles out there, my friend, and what a good gift that would be for your friends.
That's what we need to take Cats Night to the next level.
Take it to the next level. Well, folks listening out there, we want your suggestions for how to build Cats Night into something bigger and better. And we'll be looking at our Discord and at our social media for more on this. We hope you have a good weekend. We hope you can forget what's going on in the world this weekend. We hope you can watch a better movie than Riley will be watching this weekend. And we'll see you next week. Until then, thanks, Riley. Thanks, Minna. Thanks, everybody. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.